There was a rhythm to wash day, not music exactly, but something close to it. The creak of wood, the slosh of water against tin, the steady circular turning of a metal handle. Clothes didn't simply become clean in the past. They were persuaded, coaxed, agitated into submission. In a quiet yard behind a farmhouse, or on the narrow balcony of a city tenement, someone stood beside a barrel with a crank on its side and turned through steam in winter, turned beneath heavy summer air, turned while children played nearby, turned while thinking about everything else that still needed doing. And inside that barrel, shirts, linens, overalls, the visible record of a week's living was being pulled apart by simple motion. Before electricity hummed in laundry rooms, before push buttons and digital panels, there was muscle, leverage, and rotation. The hand crank washing machine. It did not look revolutionary, but for millions of households, it changed the shape of labor and the shape of time itself. For most of human history, washing clothes meant kneeling by rivers, pounding fabric against stone, or scrubbing garments on wooden boards until fingers split in cold water. Laundry was relentless, heavy, seasonal, endless. The hand crank washing machine did not eliminate that labor, but it reorganized it. Appearing in the 19th century, particularly across Europe and North America, it introduced something radical into domestic life. Mechanical assistance without electricity. It promised efficiency without abandoning independence, power without dependence on infrastructure. Inside wooden tubs lined with zinc or tin, paddles rotated when a side crank was turned. Later versions used internal agitators or rollers that wrung water from fabric with far less strain. It was not glamorous, it did not glow, but it represented a quiet shift in household engineering. It rose gradually, it peaked humbly, and then, like so many transitional technologies, it faded not in failure, but in succession. To understand it, we have to go back to the world before it ever turned. Before the machine for centuries, laundry was one of the most physically demanding recurring domestic tasks. Water had to be carried, heated, lifted. Soap was handmade, rendered from animal fat and lye, harsh on skin, unforgiving on fabric. Communal wash days were common. Riversides became temporary gathering grounds where garments were beaten against rocks and scrubbed on ribbed boards. In urban centers during the 18th and early 19th centuries, washerwomen formed an entire labor class. Laundry services were among the most physically punishing forms of paid domestic work. Clothing itself was heavier than thick cotton, wool, linen, materials that absorbed water and doubled in weight when soaked. Cleaning fabric wasn't simply about hygiene, it was about dignity, presentation, survival. And so, inventors began to imagine ways to reduce the strain. Early mechanical patents for washing devices appeared as early as the late 1700s. Some used plungers, some used rocking cradles. Others involved rotating drums mounted on frames. By the mid-1800s, wooden barrel designs with hand cranks began appearing more consistently. These early machines were often crafted locally. A cooper might build the barrel. A blacksmith might forge the crank. A tinsmith might line the interior to resist rot. The mechanics were beautifully simple. Inside the tub, wooden paddles or perforated cylinders agitated clothes as the crank turned. Motion replaced pounding. Circulation replaced brute force. Some designs included built-in ringers, 2 rollers mounted at the top. Feed the garment through, turn the handle, and water squeezed out between tight wooden or rubber cylinders. It was not effortless, but it was revolutionary in small, measurable ways. Less bending, less scrubbing, more control. Adoption and spread. By the late 19th century, Hand crank washing machines were appearing in catalogs and general stores across rural America and parts of Europe. Mail-order giants like Sears, Roebuck and Company listed models alongside farm tools and cast-iron stoves. They were marketed not as luxuries, but as time savers for hard-working households. Importantly, they did not require electricity, which remained unavailable in most rural areas until the 20th century. This made them democratic machines. They fit into farm life seamlessly. Water could be drawn from wells, heated on wood stoves, poured directly into the tub. The crank allowed consistent agitation without destroying hands or backs. In many regions, the machine became part of weekly ritual. Saturday was wash day. Sunday clothes depended on Saturday's labor. Children often helped turn the handle, turning chore into participation. The machine was not separate from life. It was embedded in it. Engineering evolves as manufacturing improved, materials shifted. Wood gave way to galvanized steel tubs. Internal agitators became more efficient. Ringers improved with spring tension systems to prevent fabric tearing. Some models mounted on wheeled frames so they could be rolled outdoors for draining. Others integrated heating elements powered by early gas or kerosene systems, though these were less common. Yet despite improvements, the core principle remained unchanged. Human power translated into rotational agitation. It was an elegant compromise between manual labor and mechanized efficiency. Cultural impact. The hand crank washing machine did something subtle but significant. It condensed time. Where once laundry required full-day river sessions, mechanical agitation shortened washing cycles. This freed hours, not entire days, but hours, which in domestic economies mattered profoundly. It reduced social isolation for washerwomen working alone. It standardized cleanliness. It also marked an early example of home mechanization, a step in a larger arc that would include butter churns, sewing machines, meat grinders, and eventually powered appliances. These devices collectively reshaped expectations about what labor should feel like: less punishing, more manageable, still human. The peak era. In the early 20th century, just before widespread electrification, the hand crank washer reached its quiet peak. It was reliable, repairable, durable. If a part broke, it could often be fixed locally. No wires, no motors, no dependence. In regions without stable electricity, or where electricity was considered expensive, hand crank washers remained practical well into the 1920s and 30s. Even after electric washing machines appeared, many families kept their crank machines as backup, insurance against outages or mechanical failure. They were trusted objects, not flashy, not modern, but dependable. If you close your eyes, you can almost hear it. The steady rhythm of turning, the slight resistance as wet fabric shifted inside. You might remember the smell, soap and steam mixing with outdoor air, or the way hands felt afterward, wrinkled, tired, but satisfied. For children, it was curiosity, watching sleeves vanish into rollers, waiting for the flattened, dripping fabric to emerge on the other side. For adults, it was responsibility. Laundry was never optional, yet there was pride in clean linens hanging on lines, fluttering like quiet flags of order. The hand crank washer demanded participation. It did not hide the process. You saw the water cloud. You felt the effort. You measured the outcome. Today, laundry happens behind sealed doors with digital timers. Back then, it happened in plain sight, and memory formed around it. Electrification changed everything. By the 1920s and 30s, electric washing machines began entering urban homes. Motors replaced muscle. Timers replaced judgment. Brands like Maytag and Whirlpool refined automatic agitation and spin cycles. Gradually, the expectation shifted. Why turn a crank for 20 minutes when a motor could do it unattended? Rural electrification programs in the mid-20th century accelerated the transition. Convenience expanded. Labor contracted. The hand crank washer did not vanish overnight. It lingered in basements, in sheds, in emergency use. But eventually, even backup machines were discarded. What was gained? Time, comfort, automation. What quietly disappeared? Physical rhythm, tangible effort, shared participation. The act of turning became the act of pressing. The hand crank washing machine sits in museums now. Wooden tubs polished, metal cranks frozen mid-turn. It looks primitive beside stainless steel appliances, but it represents a crucial middle chapter between river stones and electric motors, between communal labor and automated solitude. It reminds us that progress often moves in increments, small mechanical advantages that slowly reshape expectation. It asks a quiet question. When we remove effort from a task, what else do we remove? Perhaps not better or worse, just different. Somewhere in a quiet yard of memory, a handle still turns, and laundry, heavy with living, becomes clean again.